amazed with the organizers of events like this. You guys are fantastic. And right now, I'd like to invite a very special lady to come up and give a presentation. Please welcome Louise. Give her a hand. Come on, a little more enthusiasm there, folks. A little more. Testing, testing. Very nervous, but very happy to be here also. Just put that down a little bit. Everyone can hear me okay? So like I said, thank you Benita for introducing me. My name is Louise Murray. I'm from Alberta. I've lived at Fort McMurray since 2009. From southern Alberta. I love this community. I've never lived or worked next door to some of the most hardworking, reliable, honest people in my life. And I love this town. And thank you all for coming out to show your support. And honestly, regardless if there's 2 people or 200 people, today we're standing with thousands across the country. In the business community, the medical community, amateur sports, the scientific community, and the average day-to-day American or Canadian that said enough is enough. I think a lot of people here are not necessarily COVID deniers. I know for me, I'm against the efficacy of closing down our economy, limiting human contact, isolating children and elderly from each other and from us. And I am highly against coercing people into getting a highly questionable vaccine so we can all get back to normal. Yet people that do get vaccines still wear masks, still have to social distance, still have to limit their gatherings, still have to obey the rules. And now, the variances. How can you vaccinate against these variances? Do you realize there is an unlimited amount of variances coming? This is just wordplay, like the war on terror, climate change. These are words used to keep you suppressed and used to give up your rights slowly, one by one. How did we go from having a 2-week quarantine to throwing pastors in jail and finding businesses who need to stay open, not want to, but need to, because their very lives and the lives of their families depend on them staying open? The government keeps moving the goalposts. We're all the boiled frog, you know the boiled frog analogy where you're in a cold bottle or boiled water and they turn up the heat in increments, next thing you know you're dead? That's what we're in. They keep moving the goalposts. They keep giving us these short increments of lockdowns. You know why? Because if they told you the plan was to lock you down forever, you'd probably riot. You would organize. You would plan. You would stand up and fight. And you would overthrow them. This is that time. We are being locked down forever. This is that time. When the people stand up, this ends. I also feel there is a total failure of our medical community to do their due diligence, to be transparent, and to relay truthful information. Of course, there cannot be a rally without mentioning masks. I think at this point, it is absurd to think that they are doing anything to stop the spread of COVID. Wear a mask. No, we're 2 masks. Hey, you know what? We're 3 masks. It's a super deadly disease, but don't worry, you can make your mask out of anything. And we don't need any special disposal systems either because, hey, it's a deadly epidemic. Here in Fort McMurray, our cases skyrocketed once the mask mandate was put in place. I will always wonder and question what our cases would have been like without that mandate. And I also wonder, it's been a year now, why aren't all the non-mask wearers dead by now? I personally do not wear a mask. When I am asked why, I simply say because I am claustrophobic, which I am. I supporting tyranny, walking around looking like a slave, supporting child predators, being muzzled. That makes it hard for me to breathe. I do not judge people who wear masks, but I strongly disagree that they need to be mandatory. I feel there's been a failure to properly classify COVID deaths, creating more hysteria than warranted. Imagine Prince Philip, first guy to die for being 99 years old in a year. I also feel there is a failure to promote other measures such as vitamin D, zinc, hydrochloroquine. I also believe there's a failure to communicate the flawed statistics by these PCR tests. Do you know in Alberta there's no database? Well, I'm sure there's a database being reported that tells us what the false positives are. You know, it's basic science. We all went to probably science, biology. You can't, anyway, I won't get into that, but the failure, I also don't agree with the failure to not talk about any other diseases other than COVID. What happened to cancer, heart disease, diabetes? The government and the media has completely ignored pretty much every other health concern that we ever had. Where did all that go? If this was a real pandemic, we would not need the media to constantly tell us that it exists. If this was a genuine, deadly pandemic, it does not require 24/7 advertising to remind you that it's here. Real pandemics don't need marketing campaigns and endless propaganda. Psychological operations do. The loss of freedoms in response to this threat is askew. This has been the most monstrous loss of freedoms in the history of our province. Quarantine is used to restrict the movements of sick people. Tyranny is being used to limit the movements of healthy people. You do not quarantine healthy people. I don't understand either why the big box stores are able to be open but small businesses cannot. In my opinion, small businesses are way better equipped to deal with social distancing and sanitization. The big box stores are just run riot, whatever, man. No business in the history of business, as far as I'm aware, have ever closed their doors because of the common cold or a flu. Our province, Ontario's probably up there too, but our province has the highest percentages of small businesses being forced to lock down and close. Alberta small businesses are starting to stand up. They're refusing to close. They're asking for specific laws to be shown to them about why they need to shut their doors, and they're not being provided them because they don't exist. Our human rights and the Canadian Constitution is our guide. There's a section in it, Section 7. Covers life and liberty and security. I suggest you read it. Us Canadians, we're very nice, but sometimes we don't know our own history. I encourage you to learn it. Please remember that mandates and bylaws and rules and regulations are not laws. We have all seen the videos. AHS, RCMP being forced off premises, and they have to go because they know that they have no standing to enforce these laws, and they know that's why they cannot produce them when they're asked. Every person, here's a fact, every person who has extended these lockdowns has a guaranteed income. Let that sink in. We are not in all this together. We are not. Right now, small businesses are the warriors of our country. I know, I for one am a small business owner, and I've not made a dime since 2020. I want to read something to you from a small business owner because I feel it explains what's happening very well. This is from a lady, her name's Christy. Before you judge, a lot of small businesses are left with no more options. My doors are closed. They're about to be permanently closed. This is my job. This is how I solely support my 3 children to put food on their table and a roof over their heads. I have poured everything, my heart and soul, into this business. I employ 16 people whom all have families. We have given back to this community whenever possible. We purchase products from other local small businesses. We not only feed you, but we create a family atmosphere to make lasting memories and friendships. Here's a breakdown of my expenses. $5,000 in rent, $11,000 in property taxes, $7,000 insurance, utilities, $32,000, not to mention obviously paying employees, providing food costs. So now I'm closed. How do I provide for my family? Please do not interpret this as a plea for sympathy. I think a lot of people feel that. We don't want handouts or strong people. We want our lives back. I'm asking that you think before you judge. That everyone's situation is different. And I'm doing what I need to do to simply survive. Be kind. Thank you, Christy. I know I'm getting emotional. I was just welling up there. Lockdowns do not save lives. Lockdowns increase depression, anxiety, isolation, alcoholism, self-harm, suicide, domestic abuse, overdoses, cancer deaths, cardiac deaths, unemployment, homelessness, business closures, and yes, I could go on. Now, I know it's not easy to stand up. The first time I came down to this rally, I was very nervous. I was, I don't know, but I didn't want to be just a digital warrior, so I came down, and you know what? All I had to do was show up, and it was really easy. I was really nervous to talk today. I never thought I could do this, but here I am. Because all you gotta do is show up. For me, I come to rallies. I'm active on social media. I talk about it in the community when the opportunity comes up. I started Canadian Businesses Not Backing Down Facebook page. We got 7,000 followers in about 8 hours. We're growing. There's some very powerful groups on social media, so I encourage you to seek those out. You can educate yourself about what your rights are at the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms. Give it a Goog. The Wild Rose Independent Party is a line. No More Lockdowns Alberta is a great page. Write letters to Don Scott, Layla Goodrich, Tanya Yao. Sign petitions. Donate to causes that align with you. Maybe don't wear a mask just for one day next week. Join The Edge Fort McMurray Facebook. We have events on there. Masks Mondays coming up. Canadian Tire, 10 a.m. See you there. So you can support. You don't have to be big and loud. You can do it small. You can do it any way you want to do. But do something. Best quote out there is, the only thing for evil to triumph is for good men and good women to do nothing. We are not going to do nothing. Be strong. Be strong. Be courageous. And this ends when we all say no. No.